to the Retro Workbench. I recently got this massive haul of old Macs, keyboards, mice, and an external floppy drive from a coworker. And I'm looking forward to cleaning all of these up and getting them working. I don't have much experience with Macs, so this will be a learning experience for me. Let's just hope I don't blow anything up. Today we're going to be looking at this iMac G4. This is the 15-inch, 800 MHz model from 2003. And in my opinion, this is one of the best looking computers Apple ever made. Well, it was. This one has spent years in a barn, and now it's looking pretty gross. I'm going to get this cleaned up and looking as good as the day it was built. But first, let's test it out. Okay, it looks like it turned on just fine. We'll wait for it to boot. Okay, it turned on just fine. We'll see what version it's running. Okay, it appears to be running version 10.2 Jaguar. We'll look around a little bit. Looks like it has a few personal files, so we're not going to dig too much. But now that we know it works, let's go ahead and clean it up. Okay, I had to do the cleaning off camera because I couldn't put my phone at a good angle to record. But what I did was I sprayed Windex on a microfiber cloth and wiped everything down and went back over the more problematic spots with a magic eraser. Unfortunately, I realized after cleaning the screen that it wasn't just dirty. It's actually scratched. There's nothing I can do about that other than replace the screen. Still, this iMac looks a lot better than it did before. Now that I've got the computer cleaned up, I want to do some upgrades. I'm going to replace the hard drive with this 240 gigabyte SATA solid state drive. The iMac only supports IDE, so I'll need to use this SATA to IDE converter. I'm also going to upgrade the RAM to the full 1 gigabyte that the iMac supports. And while I have it open, I might as well go ahead and replace the PRAM battery. Now that I've got the computer open, I want to show you something that's kind of weird about it. It uses two different types of RAM sticks. When you remove the bottom panel, you see that there is a slot for a SDRAM. This is meant to be upgraded by the user. The iMac was originally sold with this slot empty, but this one has been upgraded with a 512 megabyte SDRAM, which you saw me take out earlier. But inside the computer, there's a slot for a full-size DIMM right there. I'm not sure why Apple chose to use two different sticks because DIMMs and SODIMMs were available in the same capacities at the time. The DIMM that came in the iMac is 256 megabytes, but I'm going to replace it with a 512 megabyte DIMM so we can have a full 1 gigabyte. You may have noticed another slot on the bottom of the iMac. This is for an airport card. Airport is the name Apple used for their Wi-Fi devices. I could add an airport card, but it will be limited to 11 megabits per second, and it doesn't support modern security protocols. So I'm going to stick with Ethernet. Now let's clean up the inside and do the upgrades. We've got the iMac cleaned up inside and out, maxed out the RAM, and added a new SSD. Now we're ready to install an operating system. Before we started, this iMac was running macOS 10.2 Jaguar. But since we've done all these upgrades, I think it's fitting to install 10.4 Tiger, the latest version this computer supports. I've got this extremely legit copy of Tiger here, so I'll go ahead and get this installed. Okay, I have to boot to open firmware, so I have to hold Command Option OF while the computer starts. And now we're in open firmware, so to open the CD drive, I just type eject CD and press return. And now I can put the disk in the drive. And we can shut it back down. And now I have to get into the boot menu, so this time I have to turn the computer on and hold Option. And it's looking for the disk. I hear the disk spinning, but I don't see it on the screen. Okay, apparently there's a problem trying to install from that DVD. I've looked it up online and a lot of people have that same problem. So instead we're going to go with CDs. Instead of just using one DVD, we're going to have to use 4 CDs. Okay, here we are in the boot menu and we can see the installation CD. So still waiting for that clock to finish. And we'll go ahead and boot into the CD. Okay, here we are in the installation. Yeah, we'll agree to the license. Select destination. The SSD is not showing up here, so we will have to go to disk utility to set up a partition. And this Kingston drive is the one we just put in the iMac. So I'll go ahead and erase that. And we'll name this Macintosh HD. And now we can go back to the installation and we'll select Macintosh HD. Okay, and let's customize this. We don't need printer drivers. We don't need the extra languages. I will include X11. Let's go ahead and install. Here we are in our fresh installation of Tiger. If you're used to newer Macs, you might notice that this looks similar, but not exactly the same. When I open Finder, you can see that Aqua has this brushed metal look, very different from the flat design of recent versions of macOS. Now, I wanted to show you how well this iMac can handle modern websites, but let me show you what happens when I open Safari. So it says we're not connected to the internet. I have this connected to a wireless bridge with an Ethernet cable, but for some reason the router is not giving me an IP address. I have it set to use DHCP. I know the bridge works because I connected my laptop. I even tried connecting the iMac directly to the router. I had to put it on top of my refrigerator to do that. Nothing has worked. I may try again to get it working in a future video, but for now, let's do something a little more fun. If you've used a Mac in the last 20 years, you've definitely heard of GarageBand, and maybe you've used it yourself. For those who haven't, GarageBand is a digital audio workstation. It's a free download on the Mac App Store today, but in the mid-2000s, it was sold in a software bundle called iLife, which included other media creation software like iPhoto, iMovie, and iDVD. GarageBand doesn't have nearly as many features as more professional software like Pro Tools or Ableton Live, but it's a great tool for beginners. One of the reasons GarageBand is so popular is that it has a huge library of pre-recorded loops you can use in your own songs. Some of those loops are even used in songs you probably know. Let's see if we can make a hit song. I mean, if GarageBand is good enough for Mike Shinoda and Rihanna, it should be good enough for anybody, right? Okay, let's call this track Workbench Groove. Okay, so here we are in GarageBand, and let's see if we can put some loops together and make something that sounds pretty good. We'll start with some drums. Okay, I think I like this one. Okay, let's try some other instruments. Let's look at the bass. Okay, let's see how those sound together. Yeah, that's pretty good. And let's find a few more instruments. I think I like that one. Let's see how that sounds. Okay, that's pretty good. I'll play around with this some more, and we'll put some more loops together and see what sounds good. Okay, I think we've got a pretty good song here, but I want to make it even better. GarageBand doesn't just let you make songs with built-in loops. You can also record your own instruments and voice. You can do this either by connecting an instrument or microphone to the iMac, or you can use a MIDI controller to play virtual instruments. I'll be playing virtual instruments using this Arturia Minilab Mark II. Okay, so we're going to have to add another track. And we're going to do a software instrument track. So now we can see all the different instruments we can play. That's not very loud. Let's see if we can boost that up a little. Let's try a few different instruments. Okay, I really like that one. Let's go back to the beginning of the song and just play around a little bit. Let's turn off those instruments there so we can just have the drums and bass and play our own stuff. Okay, I'm not a piano player, so that took me a few tries to get right, but I think that sounds pretty good. I think I'm going to go ahead and record that in, and that'll make a loop that we can use throughout the song. So I'll play it here at the beginning, but I'll probably move it to the end, so it'll be after these other two loops. Okay, so I messed up that second time around, but we've got enough of a loop. I can put it wherever I want in the song. So I'll play around with this some more. I think it's starting to turn into a really good song. Maybe at some point I'll finish it and I'll post it on YouTube, but for now I want to move on to something else. macOS 10 is very different from its predecessor, which would eventually be renamed Classic macOS. The two operating systems may look similar, but OS X is actually based on Next Step, which was produced by Next Computer, a company founded by Steve Jobs after he left Apple. Because of this, classic macOS software doesn't run on OS X. To solve this, early versions of OS X supported Classic Mode, a program that runs macOS 9 in a virtual environment, so you can still use your classic software on your new computer. Tiger is the last version of OS X to support Classic Mode. One of the most common uses for Classic Mode is for playing older games. Let's test one of my favorite classic games, Diablo. Well, the video is a little choppy, but that's to be expected on a virtual environment. But let's get into the game. I guess that's too many characters. Wow, what happened there? Okay, we're walking around. The performance is not very good.
Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
I'm not going to talk to him right now. Let's just say goodbye. Let's walk around a little bit more. Okay, this performance is not very good. I might have to change some settings. Let me see what I can do to maybe make this run a little bit better. Okay, it seems to be running a little better now. I checked share processor time when I opened up Diablo. So at least now the walking is smooth. Let's look at my inventory. Okay, I have a sword and a shield. So I think for now I'm gonna skip all these townspeople and let's just go beat up some demons. if I can remember how to get there.
Please, listen to me.
No, we're not going to listen to you.
The sanctity of this place has been fouled.
Well, okay, now we know Diablo works. I originally wrote in the script that this iMac G4 looks as good as the day it left the factory. Well, we didn't quite get there, but it looks a lot better than it did, and thanks to the upgrades we did, it runs even better. Well, that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a like. And if you want to see more videos like this, why not go ahead and subscribe? If you have experience with the iMac G4 or other Macs of this era, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. I've got lots more projects like this coming up, so if you want to see previews of my projects, follow me on your social media platform of choice. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join me again on the Retro Workbench.